at the end of last year, I lost everything. And it got so bad that I had to move in with my drug addicted, abusive, narcissistic, gaslighting father in the hood with my 12-year-old little brother that I had just met. Let's rewind. How did my life turn into a Tyler Perry movie? Part 1. This started when I was working at Sunrise Senior Living. I was under this woman who was very divisive. Have y'all ever had a boss that tore their team apart from the inside out? Well, that's exactly what this lady did. She would talk about employees to other employees. She would, in my opinion, pit people against each other. Maybe she thought people weren't going to say anything, but everybody knew at some point that she was talking about people. I'm supposed to be her right-hand person, but she's complaining about me, to whom I found out later one of the employees was her best friend, which caused a lot of issues. I was being accused of so many things that I was not doing. And it just got to a point where it really began to affect my mental health. I was in the hospital. I was working like 10-hour days, which isn't that much for some people, but for me it was. So my physical health was starting to fade. My mental health was starting to fade. And it just became such a toxic environment, because if I had an issue with her best friend, you already know what's going to happen. She's going to talk to her best friend about it. If there's something that I'm seeing that isn't going right under human resources, because that's the department I'm in, but she's the executive director, what can I say if she's the one that's being toxic, if she's the one that's doing it? And when I do say something to someone higher up, they just go back and tell her anyway. And so I was being accused of things. I didn't want to be in the clique of, hanging out after work. That was an issue. I was starting to get bullied, yelled at. It just got really bad. And I wasn't trained properly. So long story short, I did what I felt was best, and I left that toxic environment. Mainly because I have a history of mental health. And even though I'm more than capable of doing that job, the toxic environment with it was just not worth the hell that my body and my mind was going through. Now, I'm a type of person that can get a job just like that. I never had an issue. But this time, it's like I couldn't get a job to save my life. It didn't matter how many applications I put in, how many interviews I went on. It was always I'm overqualified or something. I would go to even the second and third interviews, but would never get the job. So I was like, well, maybe this is God's way of really pushing me into entrepreneurship. And so I went full throttle. I even went into this new app where I was able to do workshops and stuff daily, but that turned into another toxic situation where I met a narcissist. Yay! And this narcissist love bombed me and then publicly embarrassed me on a stage. That's a whole nother video. But yes, fast forward. I held on as long as I could and paid bills for about 6 months, the best I could, until I couldn't anymore. I couldn't move in with any family that I knew of. I mean, I really tried. I just didn't have anywhere to go. And now I understand how people can be homeless, because the homeless system is horrible. I mean, they don't really help you. They don't have hotels set up. They have something called hypothermal season, when it's like wintertime, and they'll give you like a sleeping bag or something like that. But it's not safe. It's not safe at all. And they don't really help you. Once you really start to see how things are, you'll see how people can actually end up homeless, because they don't actually help people who are homeless. There's waiting lists. There's certain categories that you have to be in to fit into certain types of homes. And then you go through the system in Virginia. You go through something called coordinated services, and if you don't fit into certain groups and categories, like if you weren't abused, or if you don't have kids under a certain age, or whatever the case may be, you're not getting help. Okay, I tried everything. I went to every organization possible, and I could not get help. So my only choice was to move with my father. The gag is, I didn't even know him. I could count on my hand how many times that I can remember seeing him. Nobody had space. Nobody could take me in. And it was just one of those things where the last thing I remembered about him was that he was abusive to my mother. He was abusive to my little brother. I remember him throwing him across the room when I was young. And I just was crying because I could not believe I had reached such a low. But I had to do what I had to do. All right, hold on. Part 2 is coming next.